We're talking about, quarterbacks and moves that could happen next year. Another big one are the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, you have a question mark there with Will Levis. Do you roll with him? Do you keep him? I don't think they want to roll with him as many times as they tried to bench him this season, but you still have to keep going back to him like you Thanos because you got Mason Rudolph behind him. You also have the Cleveland Browns, the Giants with big
the
questions.
Titans get Geno Smith.
They could.
I like a Geno shout in Tennessee.
These three teams that I just brought up, they are the three top picks in the NFL draft next year. The 2025 order is officially set. Tennessee Titans will have the number 1 pick. Browns 2, Giants 3, Patriots fell to 4 with that win yesterday. Jaguars have the 5th pick. Raiders, they won a little too much at the end of the season. They have the 6th pick. Jets at 7, Panthers at 8, Saints at 9, Bears round out top 10 there. Then you got some little perennial contenders there in the outer regions. 49ers have the 11th pick, Cowboys 12, Dolphins 13, Colts and Falcons 14 and 15. So they're in positions to where they might be able to, make some moves that get them out of that range and back into the playoff contending area next season. But we'll see. Going into this, and before we turn it over to our tankathon expert, who's already producing mock drafts and everything, Zoo, what are your thoughts going into this draft order and team needs and any expectations that you're seeing now that we don't have to worry about that?
I mean, so I don't outside of Shedeur and Ward, I don't know anything about the big names that are coming up in the draft. So I can't wait to listen to College Game Day to find out who I need to look into for that. But I mean, these top 3 easily need quarterbacks, and there's no Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Drake May hanging out for that. So I don't even know how much all 3 of these teams are going to be able to capitalize on the person that they get with this top 3. And none of them are really in a position to be able to trade back either. They desperately need somebody who can operate the ball. Jaguars, I feel like they could have Trevor and sign somebody and make a quarterback competition. The Raiders need somebody, but they may have to sign someone just being all the way down at 6. Same thing with the Jets. They're going to have to sign. So it'll be intriguing to see what weapons that they feel are needs, but those first 3 are definitely going to be taking quarterbacks if they can help it.
Yeah, the Titans, I think, won the lottery on this just in terms of getting a quarterback that might be able to start next year. Cam Ward, I would expect is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Shedeur Sanders, there were reports saying yesterday that it's more media and fan hype for Shedeur.
No.
And how teams actually feel about him, where he could wind up not even being a first rounder at that point. We'll see how pro days work out in the combine and all. But yeah, I think it's going to be rough for the Browns, the Giants too, just in terms of getting a quarterback that's going to be able to, compete to start, but it might be more on a Drake May kind of level going into next year, where if you got a quarterback like Jalen Milroe or whoever is going to be around, you're going to have to sign somebody to compete with them and to hold down the spot until they're ready. Outside of Travis Hunter and Will Johnson, I don't really know too many players in this draft, so I'll happily.
Deontay's the only other one that I know. I'm curious where the running back goes.
And Luther Burden's a name I know just because I like the name.
Huge.
Luther. The name Luther is a great name for a football player.
He's going to be a great get for whoever snags him.
So I'll turn it over to you, Scott, to inform us. First question I have is this draft class one to be excited about if you're a top 10 team in the order right now, or is this looking more like the NBA draft class last year, where it's why the fuck did I even suck this year? Why did I even do this?
No, it's the one thing that it's lacking fairly is flash outside of Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Like you mentioned, it's more media driven and hype at that point. That's kind of bringing them in. But no, there's still a lot of solid key franchise pieces that you can still find within this draft. Not even just in the top, 15 picks that we'll talk about right now. Yeah. But even outside of that and later pick value, it's still going to be decent. I mean, this goes back to the conversation we have all the time. As each year goes by, the more parity there is in all professional sports. So you're still going to find some amazing value even after draft day, getting some of these undrafted free agents in your building and start working them out. But I think really the one position group that's probably lacking the most is quarterback, because it is more media driven. I think you'll probably see a lot more success from quarterbacks that are going to be drafted in the later rounds, like a Jackson Dart or a Riley Leonard. If he comes out, he's probably going to be a third day draft pick, quarterback for Notre Dame. But yeah, the other two, Cam Ward, I like more than Shedeur.
Okay. All right. So looking at these top picks right now, what are your expectations? What are your expectations for everything? I guess we can say way too early, but honestly, this is my favorite time of year for draft analysis, because it's right before everybody can start overthinking and getting enamored with pro days and combine measurements,
just needing content.
Right. This is the time where you're going off of film and everything that you've seen and how the players have played. Like, there will be a couple players that impress with pro days and combines, but you're going against nothing. You're going against, manufactured stuff. Right now, I think, is when everybody knows the most that they can know about a player that's real and raw. So what do you feel?
Yeah, and as a college student and everything in life, you always want to make sure that you give the roses to people that you're kind of pulling information from. So shout out CBS, specifically Ryan Wilson, because I'll kind of share with you what he's thinking as far as projections on who these teams are going to be ended up selecting, but then I'll also give you kind of my thought process and analysis and who I feel what these teams should do. You're going to hear a lot of the same names pop up, right? Because a lot of these teams have the same problems. I mean, offensive tackle, edges, cornerbacks. Quarterback was kind of higher because 4 or 5 of these teams are definitely like their number one position of need. Like Zoo had said, the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders are definitely the 4 that are most quarterback needy at this point. But outside of that, I mean, tight ends, interior linemen, linebackers, those are your quintessential third round on picks, because you don't really need to spend too much draft capital on there unless you're a Brock Bowers type talent from Vegas, which we all saw why he was drafted where he was drafted this year with his production in a shitty ass franchise. But really the quarterback and then offensive tackles, you always want to make sure to try to get your franchise tackle to anchor that offensive line. And then your edge rushers have become more prolific at the next stage in the NFL, that everyone's trying to get a top tier talent. So those ones are going to be coming off the board really, really quick in this first round. For the Titans, quarterback, wide receiver, tackle. That's really where they need some help. The best at all these positions, Cam Ward from Miami for quarterback, Tennessee's edge rusher, James Pierce Jr., and Arizona wide receiver, which in my opinion, it was the top wide receiver in college football, not Travis Hunter. TJ Rowe, McMillan are going to be names to watch here. Really, my biggest recommendation for the Titans would be either drafting the best quarterback available if you feel that he is who you feel like, if he's going to be able to produce at a high level, because the Titans need so much more help outside of quarterback. It is a mess in Nashville right now. My biggest recommendation for them, though, would be to trade down. Trade back with either the Giants or the Raiders. These two teams have already come out stating that they would love to have some kind of marquee quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, and really pick the best player available of need. If they were to trade back, say with the Raiders, that's where I feel you could see TJ Rowe, McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, come off the board for the Titans. So that's my biggest recommendation for them. I don't know if you have anything to add or if you want me to keep rolling. What would you like me to do?
Oh, no, I was just going to let you just roll through.
Okay, let's keep on rolling. Coming up at number 2, the Browns. The Browns are also another team that need a quarterback. Who knows what happened with Deshaun Watson? They're probably not going to retain Jameis. They've had a laundry list of quarterbacks. I think the last time I looked at it, since like the year 2000, it was like 20 plus quarterbacks, right? That started for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it was like 19 quarterbacks and a sexual predator awareness flag or something on that jersey.
If anything, this should be enough of a sample size for Cleveland to understand you can't hit on quarterbacks. Don't even do it. I know Shedeur Sanders right now, based off of, Ryan Wilson from CBS's projection of Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland. Oh, by the way, he had Cam Ward going to the Titans. But there's already all these skeletons coming out of the closet about Shedeur Sanders, about not being a first round talent. And it's probably going to end up being that way anyways. A couple years down the road, people are like, oh, why didn't we see this? Because you're blinded by the glitz and the glamour. That's why. Now, unless the Titans do pick a quarterback, selecting their top quarterback choice would be critical. But if the quarterback that they want is gone, pull a Joe Thomas, draft offensive tackle to protect the future quarterback, or trade down with teams like the Giants at 3 or the Jets at 7 who are needing a better position. So at this point, for the Browns, take Texas offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., please. Get that big body in there, have him anchoring that offensive line for years to come, and don't do what you did to Joe Thomas and squander his talent for decades. Please. Please.
Pretty
Moving on to... They're not going to do it. We already know, based off of their history, they're not going to make the right decision. That moves us on to pick number 3 of the New York Giants. Biggest 3 that they need: quarterback, cornerback, or also an offensive tackle. Like I mentioned before, Cam Ward is a big name to see here if he somehow drops to the Giants. Travis Hunter from Colorado. Michigan's cornerback Will Johnson, and also Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle from Texas we just mentioned. I feel if it shakes out the way that I'm kind of projecting it right now, this is where you could see Cam Ward come off the board and not Travis Hunter. Get Cam Ward in the building in New York. Hopefully Brian Daboll can figure it out with him. I would really love to see a duo of Cam Ward and Malik Neighbors in New York. I think that'd be very scary. So that's my biggest pick at this point for the New York Giants, which moves us on to the Patriots, another one of those teams where it's not so much of an offensive issue for New England going into the offseason. It's more of a defensive issue. They have needs all throughout the defensive front, cornerback as well. They could also use an offensive tackle. But I feel this is where Robert Kraft's going to do what he's going to do best, and he's going to try to play parallel to Jerry Jones and try to sell some tickets. And Colorado's athlete, which he's listed officially right now as a prospect, is Travis Hunter going to New England. Now, my question to you, Reid, would be: Travis Hunter, would you roll the dice and have him split between a wide receiver and a cornerback, since those are 2 areas of need for the New England Patriots, or would you force his hand and play? No, you need to pick one and move forward.
I went toy.
I wouldn't split him. I mean, as much as he did in college, not nearly as much. I think I'd rather him just roll mostly at defensive back. I'd rather have him playing at corner, especially in New England. I think that would be a great spot for him, being across from Christian Gonzalez and being able to create a pretty terrifying defensive backfield. And then you can put him out on, in some different wide receiver sets and different schemes if you're getting creative on the offense.
Yeah, I think especially if you have Mike Vrabel coming in there, I don't see Travis Hunter telling Mike Vrabel, no, this is what I'm going to do. He can't even tell his fiance no. So let alone Mike Vrabel.
Is there a soul amongst us that would say no to Mike Vrabel?
No. Nope. Not at all. Moving on to pick number 5 of the Jacksonville Jaguars, another one of these teams where defense should be at the forefront of their mind. Biggest areas of need: cornerback, defensive line, safety, edge rushers. Same thing. Will Johnson for Michigan, cornerback. Also his teammate, defensive lineman Mason Graham. My biggest recommendation for them would be drafting either cornerback or defensive line, depending on the highest available talent. And at that point, I would just take Michigan's defensive lineman Mason Graham to shore up that defensive front. Because I feel like they rolled the dice with Dougie P and coming in there with an offensive-minded head coach. I think they're going to take straight defense coach this time around, and hopefully get some kind of spark going on that side of the ball.
Aaron Glenn.
I have Aaron Glenn either there or New Orleans.
I saw the Saints put in.
That'd be really interesting in New Orleans.
Yeah, Saints put in a request for him today.
Oh boy. Well, he's not going to be going to the Raiders because Antonio Pierce ain't going nowhere apparently, because he's preparing as if he's going to be the head coach next year, which moves on to pick number 6 of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I have them trading up to number 1. I have them trading up to number 1 with the Tennessee Titans, taking Shedeur Sanders because it just makes the most financial sense, not the most success sense at this point for Las Vegas, but they're going to do what they want to do. And you see the cult following that's following the Sanders clan there in Denver, and Vegas ain't too far. And it's one of the more, media hyped areas right now. And Chucky would love him at that point.
Shedeur and Tyreek together?
Ooh, Shedeur, Tyreek. Maybe you got Brock Bowers right there. Talk about polar opposites, though. That would be on an offense. You got Brock Bowers on as your tight end, and then Shedeur Sanders. They couldn't be any more different. I don't know. Moving on to pick number 7, the New York Jets. Edge, defensive line, and offensive tackle are biggest areas of need. I know right now they're projected to get that wide receiver out of Arizona, Tite Roa McMillan. But for me, drafting at edge, secure a top pass rushing talent would be the biggest thing for them to do. So give me Tennessee's edge rusher James Pierce Jr. to come off the board here at 7.
I like him.
Oh, yeah. Scary, beefy man, 6'5", 243. And talk about another guy you wouldn't want to say no to. I don't know. Panthers, same thing. Panthers, same thing. Draft an edge. That's the biggest area of concern right now. Draft an edge or trade down, try to gain some future capital value. If the edge option that you want isn't available, they've been known to trade their picks away, especially their higher first round picks. They have a lot of other issues, maybe at wide receiver, defensive line, cornerback as well. Maybe roll the dice later on in the draft, get some random quarterback, maybe turn the heat up a little bit under Bryce Young.
No, don't do that to him again.
But no, this is where I like seeing another edge rusher coming off the board back to back with Penn State's edge rusher Abdul Carter going there to Carolina. Moving on to number 9 with the New Orleans Saints. Again, edge rusher, top tier talent remains. You've already had number 1, number 2 edge rusher come off the board. You need to take one now before it's too late. Georgia's edge rusher Michael Williams is a great fit in New Orleans. I would love to see him there. For Chicago, we saw how much Caleb Williams was under pressure. That might have been more on him. Maybe it was on an offensive line. But if you want to give a quarterback the best chance of success in the NFL, especially in the future, you've got to address the offensive line. So give me LSU's offensive tackle Will Campbell to come off the board here to Chicago.
That'd be a good pickup.
You need it. You have plenty of other weapons. You don't need
any receiving options. Yeah.
Right. It's tackle or bust at this point. Take the tackle and then just address all the other areas of concern later on in the draft. 49ers. Is Nick Bosa done in San Francisco? Has it been proven that his fragility is of concern?
I think about the same as his brother with Joey and in LA. I could see him hanging around, but I don't know if he's going to get another huge contract from them.
Well, and he's aging out too, because how old is Nick Bosa?
Nick Bosa, I believe, is 28 or 29.
Yeah, he's 20. I was going to say 27, 28, but yeah, he's
coming to
starting
Washington on the cheap.
Yep.
Hey, grab him. At this point,
he'd be close to his mentor here in DC.
You guys would love it. But no, I think for them, trying to find a suitable, heir to that position there in San Francisco, and you've already seen 3 edge rushers coming off the board. I think this is where you're going to see another one. Texas A&M's edge rusher Nick Scourton. This is where I have him coming off the board. I know right now Jalen Walker, the Georgia edge rusher, is projected to go here, but I like Nick Scourton and that Niners defense more. Going off the to the Cowboys, which I know is the pick that you two gentlemen have been waiting for this whole spiel. And I know specifically for Zoo over here to my right, my left.
It's
in some direction.
Yeah, it's direction. It's Weast.
We'll go with Weast.
I'm here. I'm there. I'm every fucking where.
The Cowboys, they already let go of Ezekiel Elliott. I know Zeke has already come out stating that, hey, Philly, pick me up for a roster spot for some depth, which would be hilarious. Would be hilarious. But I think it's clear. I think running back is a huge question mark there in Dallas. And who better than Boise State's running back Ashton Jeanty to come off the board going into Dallas and just wreaking havoc from the backfield there for the Cowboys. And you got to face him twice a year.
He screams Jerry Jones. Like it just screams Jerry Jones looking at Ashton Jeanty.
right? Hey, and if anything, he could just say, hey, Dion, I didn't get the Heisman, but I got your team now. I'm on your team. Your son's not on the team, but I'm on the team. So take that.
And their last 12th round or number 12 pick came out really well. So they have really good luck with that.
Going on to number 13, rounding out the last 3 picks of this top 15. Number 13 is the Miami Dolphins. Now, if Tyreek were to leave, do you either one of you feel that creates a vacuum of a need for a wide receiver? I mean, you still got Waddle there. You could mess around and try to get fancy with another one of these wide receivers. Like I stated, like a Luther Burden III, and put respect on his name, the third. I would love to see him go in the first round. I don't have him go in the first round, but do you feel if Tyreek does leave that they might reach?
They shouldn't reach. If they're concerned with Tua's future, then they should probably fortify that line a little bit more. But I think it really comes down to best player available at that point.
If that O-line looked tremendously bad for them. I still think this opens the door for Waddle to be the superstar that they thought he could be and think he can be. And I mean, you could take a swing on Luther,
right? And I'm glad that all 3 of us are on the same board when it comes to the Dolphins for their primary need at their offensive line. So this is where I have Ohio State's offensive tackle Josh Simmons coming off the board to protect Tua. You could also go safety here. Malachi Starks from Georgia. He, I believe, is ranked the top safety in this class right now. So maybe they take a shot at him. But yeah, offensive tackle for Miami should be their priority. Moving on to number 14 of the Indianapolis.
That would be a safe pick for them. Sorry.
And if you open your third eye, you can say quarterback because of Tua.
You know what? And it wouldn't be completely out of the realm of possibility because, I mean, outside of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, this is where Jalen Milroe's right there, another Alabama quarterback who could take his place. Quinn Ewers, if he does decide to come out. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, you could see him. I don't think he's officially announced he's declared for the draft unless something has changed as of late. But I mean, you see the success of quarterbacks who have extended periods of experience in college football. Jane Daniels, he's been doing phenomenal. I think that just goes back to how much he's been playing at such a high level. Maybe you take a shot on a Dylan Gabriel to come into Miami and do something there. But no, offensive tackle is where I would go. Indianapolis Colts, really, for them,
anything.
You're still, you're kind of in that same boat. I mean, safety, tight end, which you don't really need to reach on. Linebacker, you don't really need to reach on. You've already lost the plethora of edge rushers from this draft already. At this point, maybe you take a wide receiver if Tyreek were to leave. Not Tyreek. What am I? I'm crazy there for a second. I had Dolphins still on the brain. Maybe you take a wide receiver and take Luther Burden here. Or Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. But no, I have him going safety with Georgia's safety, Malachi Starks, like we just mentioned, there in Indianapolis. And then rounding it all out, number 15, the Atlanta Falcons. Same thing that you see all over the place. Edge rushers, linebackers, defensive line. That defense is atrocious, and they need help now. They have plenty of pieces on offense. You got your tight end, I guess. You got your wide receiver, which... coincidentally, I'm wondering if Drake London has grown on a certain individual who complained about drafting him in our fantasy football league since he put up 4.
Every time I see Drake London have success, I think about Jeremiah being literally irate that he auto-picked Drake London in the draft.
Right. And you have your quarterback of the future. You got Michael Penix Jr. there, so you need to address the defensive side of the ball. You have a homegrown talent right there waiting for you at edge rusher, and that's Georgia's Jalen Walker. Bring him in there, and then just focus on defense. Maybe go offensive line, round 4 or 5 in Atlanta. But other than that, this should just be a defensive-heavy draft from top to bottom for Atlanta. And that's the top 15.
Look at Entertain me. Throw Commanders in there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because Ashton Jennings off the board now. I was kind of hoping. I was like, maybe there'll be like somebody that pops up that makes him drop.
Because I'm thinking just not taking off-season signings into account, because I would love for DJ Reed to come. Cornerback, wide receiver, edge rusher, running back.
Yeah, that's my big three for them. It's wide receiver, edge, or tackle.
Right tackle would be nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where are they projected right now for the draft?
25?
Yeah, 25.
Ooh.
It's like bottom of the barrel for those for draft standards.
You know what?
I mean, there could be another Xavier Worthy somewhere in there.
Right, and it's just I'm just trying to think who they could possibly go after at 25.
And I like us to be that team now that picks up these players that, other teams with shitty GMs pass up on because they're thinking in 3D. And, doing like what we used to do and taking Jamin Davis over Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, at 25, I mean, a lot of those top tackles are off the board. Those top edge rushers are off the board. I don't see why not. I could firmly see Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, the wide receiver there, still being there. Pair him up with Scary Terry, get some Ohio State Buckeyes on either side of the ball. Maybe reach a little bit for Jonah. It's one of those names I can't pronounce, but there's a tackle out of Arizona, big beefy man, 6'5", 330. Jonah Sevignia, I can't say his last name.
I would like it. I think I'm in agreement with you all. I think my preference on this is going to be because just seeing, I guess, what we do in free agency and with any trades, I like edge. For me, it's got to be like edge tackle.
If you want your TJ Watt of the future, go after Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State.
Oh, I like Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer, he'll probably be available around 25 or so.
Okay, it'll be done.
We'll do it. I'm on it. I'm going to call Adam now. Well, thank you, Scott. This has been very informative. I think this is going to be very informative for the people. I say thank you on behalf of them. And we'll see how this goes. I'm going to save this one because I think this is going to be the definitive look at the draft going ahead instead of like any mock drafts that we do when we're thinking and overthinking more and more after like one of these players has like a gas mask full of weed on or something. And then like we drop him down 8 picks. Like what happened?
Or you have an Atlanta Falcons taking Penix way too early.
Oh my God. I was going to say, which team do you think is going to give us the Penix response this year?
Ooh. Let me look at this really quick.
Because our video reaction to that was iconic.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways this could go right now. Because, I mean, if the Titans sign, let's say, because like we said, they have a lot of needs, right? There's a lot of issues in Tennessee.
Trade back and just get picks.
Yeah, let's say they trade back from number 1 and they sign like one of these potential free agent quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins or Geno Smith or something to just hold down the fort and compete with Levis for like another year and start and just hold down things while, they accrue other talent through the draft and maybe draft somebody again in the second round or just wait until, just wait a couple years out, get Arch Manning and make that really happen for, for the South. But I could see something weird happening right there.
At first glance, as far as shock value goes, kind of like how the Falcons threw all of us for a loop, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints with a question right now at quarterback. You got Jalen Milroe right there. He's he's from that area. Actually, where is Jalen Milroe? Where is he from? I mean, played for Alabama. He's from Texas. I want to say but I could see the Saints just doing something wacky and just drafting Jalen Milroe at that point. Because by 9, a lot of the top 2 quarterbacks, Ward and Sanders, are gone. I think that's all but a given at this point. So then you got to look at the rest of the quarterback class and what's going to potentially help you. And getting a dual threat quarterback like Jalen Milroe could potentially help the Saints. It ain't Spencer Rattler. Say it again.
What do you think is happening with Carr?
Just Derek Carr. He's lost all 32 teams in the NFL.
Congrats.
Waiting on John Gruden to come back to the league and yell at him.
Derek Carr, you mean future New York Jets quarterback?
That I can see.
He's 33. He's done. Like, no one's going to take a shot on him anymore. He's going to go to some random ass team. That's who the Browns go after, is Derek Carr.
Oh!